The height of my rebellion or drama in high school was when I would skip out the back door after homeroom to go to the movies or the library to read books. These kids have everything on me.
You're listening to that blessed and highly flavored podcast. It's only because a nigga blessed.
Welcome back to Black Girl Couch Reviews. I'm your host, Christina. We are back for another episode of 13 Reasons Why, Season 1, Episode 2, Tape 1, Side B. Written by Brian Yorkie, directed by Tom McCarthy. I give this episode an 8.4 out of 10. Not really sure what I rated the last episode as, but it's furthering the plot, the mystery. We got some new characters introduced, and we're getting a little bit of information on who Hannah Baker really was. I am going to put this disclaimer out right now just because she happens to be the protagonist and also dead of suicide does not mean that she will not be judged. Just putting that decree out there right now. I'm going to call it how I see it, not based on the circumstance in which our main character, who I do empathize with, being a teenage girl trying to figure out the world, but at the same time, we all make choices in high school, some better than others, and there's always two sides of a story. And keep in mind, we are hearing only one side of that story being told. And I think that gets brought up a little bit in this episode, that things do have multiple perspectives. So you as an audience member are meant to wonder or at least question the events that you are being told. But before we get into the recap, we need to talk about the elephant in the room called Mimi Farmer. Yeah, I use your last fucking name. Because, so this chick was slow on, I don't even know if I want to get into it. I had to ask her like 4 times if she wanted to watch 13 Reasons Why with me. And now this heifer has gotten through so much more. By the time I get to the end of this season, she's going to be finished with the series. And I'm saltine. My saltine is really high right now, and I needed to call her ass out there. Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna check it out. Oh my god, I have so many episodes. I really like this show. Oh, okay. That's nice to know now as you binge watch it. Okay. Just wanted to get that off my chest. Now let's get into the recap, where Clay is now listening to side B, where Hannah welcomes him back and taunts the listener on the role in what happened to her as she sees 2 boys sexually, or we see 2 boys sexually insinuating behind Hannah and her backside in school. She turns around and Clay is laughing about this. I don't see why this is funny. And she continues with the voiceover of, maybe you didn't realize you were being cruel. Maybe you didn't do anything at all and should have. I'm not sure about that particular statement. I think there's some truth to that. Particularly, hey, I get this Polaroid of a girl. This is a stupid thing. I'm going to go report that shit. Like, I would be the number 1 narc in high school. Because I was the type of high school student that was trying to follow no damn body. I'm like, I don't even want to be here. And when I saw an opportunity to sneak out that back door, and damn did I get good at it, because my sister tried and got busted. I'm like, no, there's a window and there's a way you got to do it. It's a way you got to get the fuck out the school building. And then, not only that, I waited till I was 18. I was also a good kid. Quote unquote, good kid. I wasn't nowhere near these children's antics. I didn't even drive in high school. Nope. Got my driver's license at like 19. This is what happens when your mom does not allow you to stay out past the street lights being on. Like, oh, you ain't even getting into shit because you ain't gonna have the opportunity. My sisters and cousins, you know, they were a little bit more imaginative, but I didn't think it was worth all the risk. I was like, y'all doing too much. But I will share more of, as it's fondly known now as the House of Repute days, later on in this podcast as I am inspired. But back to Clay and Hannah. We get another flashback to Hannah handing in her work uniform. Her hair is shorn. I guess this is important to show a passage of time. We also see Hannah with the shorn hair hooking up with Clay as she once again taunts the listener that whatever you did, it's too late because she's still dead. So apparently Clay and Hannah did get it on. He does seem like he is straight up 100% in love and has been for quite some time. And this is where I have some issues with Hannah. Like, oh, you always trying to chase something that is too glitz and glamour, and you bypass the one thing that you could have had that could have liked you, and they weren't living up to your expectation of what you really want. And this is what high school boys are. That's what this whole phase is for. I'm so glad I had very little high school. Oh yeah, there was Jeremiah. Oh yeah, there was that phase, but mine was always from a safe distance crush away. I didn't get all caught up in the drama, and it's a good thing I didn't. I was spared because Jeremiah got a girl knocked up and she was a freshman and he was a junior. So that could have been me. So it was a good thing that my hard eyes never will return. I was spared and saved because I just would not jump in. But that is what she did to poor Clay. But apparently she did eventually realize what she had and went for it. But we will see how things got there. Clay has not slept all night as he's staring at his Galaxy poster. I like the transition from, because at first I was like, why the hell are we staring at this? Then we see that's what he's looking at. His mom calls him down for breakfast. He responds like she's never cooked in her entire life. Apparently it's just she's never cooked breakfast, or they've had it as a family. She tells him to shower. He tells her, don't come in my room. I understand it's a little different because he's a man and maybe I'm doing some nasty stuff in here because puberty. But at the same time, I pay these bills in the house. I will not be told when to shut the door. Like, sir, if you're talking to me, I get you're saying, but I want to see your face. I want you to actually respond like I'm your parent. Not yell out the door like that's what I wanted. I wanted to see your eyeballs as I speak to you. She tells him to take a shower. He does. The tape continues. Friendship is complicated. As Clay gets dressed, he thinks he sees Tony's car outside, runs outside, but it wasn't his car. He then goes into the kitchen and gets some coffee. His dad is sitting at the table and his mom is cooking what appears to be a feast. I'm glad that him getting the coffee was not a norm thing, because his mom was like, you want some sugar with that? Like, what do you... And she allows it to slide, but I would have said the same thing. I'm like, child, you are not allowed to make the decision right now that you will be drinking coffee. When you are 18 and you want to drink it in the dorm room, fine. I don't know how old Clay is supposed to be. Maybe he is like 17 and I'm being harsh, but for some reason he gives me the vibe that he's like 14 years old, but that could be just me, because in a later scene his voice kind of deepened and I was like, where'd that come from? I felt like I was looking at two different characters. Like when I saw him kissing Hannah, I was like, oh God, are you old enough to be doing that, sir? But maybe that's me and my perspective while Hannah wasn't interested. She was like, you're a boy and I need a man. We women are complicated too. That's for sure. She wants to have breakfast, the mom that is, every day now because it's been 2 weeks since they've sat down to dinner, and apparently it is difficult to have, maybe dinner together, but we can all get up a little earlier, make a sacrifice, and have breakfast together, because sometimes trauma in life or in the environment that you're around causes you to want to reevaluate some of your life changes. My mom's recently going through that, where she keeps calling me over to her house like, let's hang out. And I'm like, this is weird, and about 20 something years too late. It's not that. It's just every time you go over there, it's drama. I ain't trying to hear no drama. I'm not trying to hear it. I have a really great utopia going on right now. I do not like it disturbed. Clay's mom has an RX on the table waiting for Clay. He apparently took the same medication 2 years ago. I didn't catch what it was. And she wants him to have the option now. Even if he doesn't think he needs it, it's there. And no, that is not an old prescription. I just refilled it this morning. She didn't even try to hint.
He needs some milk.
The dad at least had the decency to call her out on it, being like, seriously, you could have been a little bit more subtle. And she says he's keeping secrets. He replies he's a teenage boy. He should be keeping secrets and not telling them everything. And she says, well, secret keeping is a learned behavior, as well as silence, as he completely and utterly tuned her out after he got his point across. Clay then goes to school with Hannah, knowing the listener wants to know about these other people. That's what they're most curious about, listening to these tapes, and Clay totally does. He imagines that the entire school is looking at him, as she imagines the listener is probably a little paranoid and on edge. She says high school makes you paranoid and on edge, and I'm like, not my experience. I don't remember ever being this stressed. Granted, I don't remember ever giving a fuck what anyone thought about me. I think everyone has those tiny moments. Like, I struggled for a while trying to come up with friends, just because I was just an odd person. One, I said almost everything that I wanted to say. There was no filter going on. And then there were some points where I felt a kinship in a way with Jessica, just saying off the cuff shit, because why not? Maybe a little too overtly sexual. I can definitely relate to that. But that's because I was just sexual. I was watching a lot of Skinemax as a teenager. But I don't recall, really. And I guess my sister and them, they were much more in the popular crowd. But like I said, I was always trying to skeet whenever I can. And I did the first 2 years of high school, freshman and sophomore. I believe those are the two. Yeah. I went to a performative art school or creative art school. I was in a writing class for like 2 years. So that's probably why as well. Like, there were different areas. There was music, art, drama, writing, and something else. So yeah, back to the show and not my life. Clay goes to the gym looking for Justin Foley, who has been absent the past few days. That's the person that told Clay he's not so innocent, right? The coach, Mr. Patrick, didn't even know Clay's name despite him being in his classroom. He's like, oh yeah, you're the quiet kid. But says, hey, if you do find Justin, tell him to come and see me. He's worried about him, asks even if he's in trouble. A black cheerleader named Sherry is watching with interest, but so is one of the players named Zach, I believe. As Clay takes a seat in his class, subject 2 is introduced, former best friend Jessica Davis. She comes in looking hella stressed herself to ask Zach and Marcus where Justin is. Apparently he is not answering his phone or her text messages, and his friends are definitely covering up his absence. Jessica asks Clay what he's listening to, indicating she knows all about them tapes. But Mr. Porter also wants to speak with her, and this is causing her to stress the hell out as well. Teacher tells her, don't you got somewhere to be because it ain't here. After class, Sherry approaches Clay about Coach Patrick, talking to him about Justin, and I couldn't tell if I trusted this girl or not, because she's like, oh, it's about, Jess and being new to the team and the pep rally, but it also feels as if she's digging for information. She's very touchy, like caressing his hand, practically saying maybe we should go to Monet's. He's never been to Monet's, it would appear, so why is she all of a sudden bringing up Monet's? Sherry also says that she misses Hannah, that she was a friend, and I don't know, this all felt weird, but Clay took it in stride. Hannah and Jessica then meet for the first time as part of a initiative from Mrs. Antilly, because they're both new students, so she says that they will make instant best friends. They bond making fun of Miss Antilly. And as Clay is recalling the smile that Hannah had on her face that day when she ran into him and the conversation they had, he is smiling in the present and is promptly pushed from behind in the hallway.
Hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, 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 no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, no, no.
I was hella triggered. This reminded me of the first fight I was ever in. What was I in? Probably 4th grade. And we were walking back from the bathroom, and I will never forget. They pushed this girl, and I had an instant reaction, and I carry one of those like Beanie Baby keychain things, and it also had a lock on it, and I remember taking that thing and swiping the living shit after just clocked the girl that pushed her. I got suspended for 3 days, but I did not regret it. I told my mom when she came in, she was expecting me to be, because usually I was terrified of my mama, but I was like, nah, that bitch deserved it. Okay, I don't care if I'm fucking suspended. I don't care. I was only suspended for 3 days. And the other girl was suspended for 3 days too. But, yeah. That was the first fight I was ever in. Was defending someone else. Because that's some rude ass shit. For no reason. Don't push people for no reason. Mr. Porter finds the cassette player. How the hell you missed that whole entire incident, sir? Returns it to Clay, then asks to speak with him about Hannah. He's like, you knew her well. Well, we may have just worked together. Sure, I guess we did know each other well. And I was putting my tongue down her throat, and it looks like taking off her clothes. Jessica spies them and walks the other way. Turns out, according to Hannah, that Mr. Porter replacing Miss Antilly was very unfortunate, but that is for another tape. Miss Antilly did seem like she was a really good counselor, wanted to do the best by her students, and did know what she was doing, which I love that the girls acknowledge a little bit later, because Hannah and Jessica do strike up a friendship, bonding at Monet's over hot chocolate, which is to cure everything that is bothering them. Good for their friendship was good for cold months, but not all seasons. I've had those types of friendships. Presently, Clay confronts Jessica, who says Justin walked out after talking to Mr. Porter and vanished, but that the couple are together. She's also fully aware of those tapes he's listening to, and no, she will not talk about it. It's not part of what you do. You listen and shut the fuck up. And she also says not to believe everything that he hears. I'm going to go ahead and predict right now that Jessica is clearly being lied to. Whatever's going on, she does not know the whole truth herself. We get another flashback of the girls shopping, sharing their insecurities about, their prettiness and clothes. Very comically, Jessica doesn't know what 3 o'clock means. She says it's already 3 o'clock. And they catch a boy staring, both not really wanting to take credit for who he is staring at. So they both go over to strike up a friendship with him. We meet Alex Standall, who is also a newcomer to town, and the 3 become best friends with each other. In present, Clay gets a pink slip to the office for attendance, where he is placed on attendance alert by someone who wants to keep his already good attendance that way. My guess is his very overbearing mother, because they also want to know what his participation level is as well in those classes, so they have to sign off on them. This could also be Mr. Porter for some reason. That's just a guess. He tries to get info on Justin from the secretary, but is instantly denied. We don't give out that information on other students. He then runs into Alex himself, who has a doctor's note to leave when Clay tries to strike up a very uncomfortable conversation, like he has really had conversations with him in the past. Alex pretty much is like, what the fuck is up with you? Because I don't need you to know what the fuck is up with me. Flashback once again, as all 3 best friends all hate school and agreed to meet up at Monet's, where they basically form the Hot Chocolate Club. Jessica is a little on the slow-witted side. That's why I think she is definitely the one being taken advantage of. She, again, as I stated earlier, is overtly sexual towards Alex, little boy crazy. Alex, I thought, was gay. I'm not even gonna lie. And there was a moment where you saw Hannah and Alex hugging, and I thought this was like an acceptance of the fact that maybe they realized his sexuality, but clearly I was so wrong about that. It also felt like Hannah had a crush and was kind of sensing something maybe between Jessica and Alex. I didn't though, so that was kind of a shocker for me. He is put in remedial math. We find out that his dad is a cop who wants his son to be a man's man, which is why I also thought that's where we were going, which means that he is to go out shooting guns every weekend. They were friends even after the shaming incident with Justin and the photo of Hannah. Alex says that he is a searcher because he is going through the entire espresso menu. And we learned that Jess's dad is also being deployed. Again, she's not happy about it or excited or defending of the military's actions, because she know the United States be on some shady shit. But they maintain that they are going to be FML forever. Alex was the first to leave the group, according to Hannah, trading up, in her opinion. Seemed like he was just with a whole bunch of dudes. Then Jess stopped coming, and Hannah thought they all went their separate ways until she sees Alex and Jessica at lunch, very intimate together.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
So I guess that answers the question of who he was staring at. In the present day, Clay has the worst creep game ever. Like, can you try to be a little inconspicuous, sir, and not sit and stare at everybody with those big blue eyes of yours? You're adorable, but Jesus, you also come off a little creepy. He is staring at Jess and Alex's conversation at lunch. It looks a little heated. Clay, still staring at the vending machine, hears Mrs. Bradley talking about her guilt Whereas Mr. Porter is making excuses about how many students people have. We can't, pay attention to everyone or give every kid what they need. How are you supposed to spot the signs of suicide? They both spot Clay and he runs off, completely looking guilty. Flashback once again to lunch break at the movie theater. Clay and Hannah are speaking outside when she asks if she will ever be as pretty as Jessica. And Clay says, well, she's pretty, but you're special. And that's not the answer she wanted to hear. And she tells him that he tried to be kind and failed. He wants to know how this conversation went so terribly. And she says, well, all men are the same.
You just want attention.
No, honey, you just like pretty boys. And pretty boys are always a disappointment. I'm sorry, but I said it. Covering a shift for Karen, she sees Jessica coming to see a movie. She calls her her best friend, gives her the ticket for free. But the story is not the same when Alex shows up. She says that they're together, Jessica that is. Hannah does not like to hear that. Charges. Well, I will say, Jessica was expecting to pay for her ticket. My home dude, Alex, was expecting to get in for free. Because he looked hella surprised when she said $10. He was like, oh, I thought my association with you and our past friendship that you would let me into this theater. No, sir. I would have charged his ass too. Then we have the next day where Hannah says when Jess has something on her mind, she will let you know. Wait, I think I jumped ahead a little bit. Because Hannah says on the tape that Jess, it wasn't her fault because boys like to like her, not make fun of her, and that she was the nice girl that becomes a cheerleader. In the present day, Jess is distracted during the routine at the pep rally and is clearly looking for Justin. Bryce Walker gets the Liberty High Captain's Award and he takes a victory cheer. And is very popular except to that one guy behind Clay who was so me through this entire pep rally.
Fuck you very, very much.
I loved it because he was doing the most to say, this guy is not liked by everybody. And that guy rolled his eyes all the way in the back of his head to let us, the audience, know. Just because everyone seems to be cheering for him, he is not always cheered. I don't trust Bryce. Any kid with that much money where they can invite their friends over into the pool house, nope. You fucked up. They fucked you up. They did not properly train you to be a decent person because they thought the money was going to do that for you. And I'm pretty sure that whatever has happened, Bryce, what is his last name? Don't even remember, is involved heavily. It just always feels like rich people got fucking problems. They cannot stick to this. And I'm not saying all, clearly, but they're more inclined, easily tempted into this immoral behavior because they've been doing what exactly they wanted to do, afforded to them by their money, all of their entire life. Justin's name is called, but he still does not show. And Jessica's round kick sucked ass. Like everyone else got these huge triple round kicks and she did one flip. She seemed to get on this team, like it was more to do with your LinkedIn versus your actual talent. And she leaves with Clay hot on her heels. He wants to tell someone about Justin. She's frantically leaving him more messages. And he wants to know if he knows about the tapes. And she tells him,
Shut the fuck up. God damn, nigga.
And this is where we get to the scene where Hannah says when Jess has something on her mind, she lets you know. And she approaches Hannah saying, we need to talk. And Hannah knew exactly what this was about, Alex's list. Presently, Clay is approached by Marcus, and I always forgot Zach, that's his name. Them saying, hey, you need a ride? He's like, I clearly have a bike. They're like, no, you can go over to Bryce's and hang out. So put your bike in the trunk. And that's when, honestly, my fave, Tony, with his gangster ass car, rolls up like, Clay, you good? Hey, boys, he says he's good. Tony really feels like his family are descendants from the mafia. Just saying. Clay's look between the macho standoff that went down.
What the fuck was that?
Hannah's voiceover once again says, boys talk, girls listen, and that's the problem because shit goes down and awry because of it, which is what happened between Hannah and Jess. Clay sees Jessica in Monet's and continues to stalk her after several times during the day, her telling him to fuck off. We then see the flashback of the girls meeting with Hannah saying FML forever, but Jess ain't trying to hear it. She feels betrayed about something. She says that Alex broke up with her due to this piece of paper. I'm not sure if this piece of paper is the same one that Hannah's mom found, but Jess calls her a slut and that of course you did this. Hannah denies it, then says fuck you, gets a backhand in response. Jess, you can see, instantly regretted it, but wasn't going to take it back. Hannah admits she was sad as well that Jess didn't tell her about Alex. Presently, persistence does somewhat pay off as Clay comes in and asks if the hot chocolate was helping. She says not really. She's still trying to get in touch with Justin. She's looking hella fucked up. Like there's blackness under her eyes. She's popping out in pimples. And he knows something is going on. He says that he knows about their friendship, like what happened with you and Hannah. She tells him that you can't listen to what Hannah says, that she's a liar, that she's the one that stopped coming first. She comes completely clean about the fact that she listened to the tapes as well, but tells him that Bryce and his new acquired friends aren't really his friends, but she is not also unsurprised by their tactics. Marcus and Zach then go over to Bryce's looking for Justin. That's where he's been at. He's been in the pool house, completely stoned. Bryce doesn't join them. Justin is playing video games, and they say, hey, look, Jessica's looking for you. He's like, oh yeah, well, that's too bad. They tell her she's looking real bad. He says she's been looking that way for a while. They tell him to essentially leash her as she is attracting attention to herself and to him. Justin replies, no, she's not attracting attention to him because he ain't there. Tony goes to Clay at Monet's, points out where the gang of best friends used to sit, and then asks why is it taking him so damn long to listen to these tapes. He is the longest one. I'm trying to get this shit over and done with. Clay remarks it's hard, and Tony says, yeah, it's tapes from a dead girl. Tony tells him that you remember that thing in 7th grade when Clay was bullied and Tony offered to fix it with his brothers and his cousins, but Clay wanted to do it on his own, and that is why Tony is not helping him by telling him what's on the tapes. I'm not going to give you answers. You need to figure this shit out. He says, everywhere I see Hannah, and Tony says, I'm pretty sure that's the point. Justin is still smoking out of a bong with Marcus and Zach now playing the video games when a knock comes at the door and they basically make it known it's your crazy ass girlfriend. She comes in getting physical, like, why you humiliate me? What the fuck? You ain't answering my calls. She wonders why he left after Mr. Porter's. There's something that she's not telling, or he's not telling her. He says, what would I not tell you? She then brings up his scholarship and that Clay has the tapes. So this is known. And that he is not like the rest of them. He will talk. They say he's not going to, and we'll make sure of it. Jessica asked Justin if Hannah was lying, because she is starting to maybe be a little skeptical on the people she is trusting. That if Hannah wasn't lying, why are you here? Zach and Marcus share a knowing look. Interestingly enough, Justin asked, did he get to that part yet? And she says, no, not there yet. So what does that mean? I do not know. Clay stops by Hannah's house and sees her mother, who is still very much grieving, in the window. She's painting her nails the same shade as her daughter did. She finds a list of names labeled the best of, like tits, ass, really stupid high school boy stuff. With Hannah's dad not being as upset about it, because he kind of feels this is typical high school antics, that the people are anonymous, that this is not going to sway a court or a jury that their daughter was indeed bullied, and also a little unsure on whether or not he wants to know exactly what happened, how far this type of bullying behavior went. I thought that was, I don't know, an odd reaction from a father, but I guess, you know, a man is always different, because this is the same thing. I mean, boys have been doing this forever. They're disgusting. They're pigs. They're just what they are. Some grow up with manners who have parents who don't have the same ideas that clearly this Andy guy has, and some do. It's just a matter of. This is why men like Clay are the true keepers, and all of those fuckboys are pretty much that. Fuckboys. We women are the prizes, and yet somehow in history that shit got flipped on its head, and this alpha culture emerged that has not yet been stomped out of society. So she calls someone to ask what this list means to help them out. We see that she is in contact with Tony. Tony passes by Clay. Why are they still out past the streetlights? Like, come on now. And what, is Tony just casually following Clay around all day long? But, of course, Clay, like the stalker he is, follows Tony and sees the mom greet Tony warmly with a hug. And Hannah concludes on the tape, like I said, it's complicated. I don't know where this is going. I'm pretty sure it's going to end up on a party at Bryce's and he does something that is a crime. That's where I know this is probably going somewhere. How everyone is culpable and responsible in the matter, we shall see. It seems as if Justin had moved on as well with, or to, what do you call her? Jessica, after the shaming incident too, which is odd for Jessica. You would think even if your friend did some shitty shit, you know, why, I don't know. It's twisted, clearly. And again, I've said this before, Jessica, pretty as she is not the smartest tool in the shed. And I think she can be very easily manipulated. Where Alex falls into this, I don't know either. But he seemed like he was Mr. Sweet. Maybe he really is an ass as well. We don't know. I still am wondering about his sexuality. I don't know. I don't know. My gaydar went up. Usually it's not wrong. So I'm curious. With that, let's get on to some feedback.
Mail, motherfucker.
I have to make sure I read the right feedback since it's so much. I appreciate that she's doing the feedback too on every episode. I'm just so jealous. She says, what up, Christina? Queen Mimi, that is. What it is. Do you know what my boyfriend had the audacity to continue watching the show without me, and now he's on episode 9. Well, he just finished 9, so he's on 10, and I'm only on 3. I'm mad for real. I told him I can't binge because I have to send my feedback first, otherwise my feedback will be tainted by the next episode. He was like, okay, little did I know he was going to continue watching without me. I got off work early yesterday and came home at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and this fool was watching episode 9, just chilling on episode 9. I am so salty right now. Anyway, let's get into my feedback. Well, at least you know now how I feel. Okay? I don't have a man to come home and this is physical of you staring in my eyeballs betraying me like this by skipping ahead so far, but jeez. Y'all into this like this? I gotta wait until the schedule I put out? Shit. She continues, first let me start off by saying that what Hannah is doing is not okay. I get it, these people hurt her and she's angry and she wants to hurt them, but she's going about it in a very manipulative way, and it's wrong. It makes her just like them and it makes me not like her. The scene where they were at work on break and she asked him about her looking better than Jessica, what does she expect him to say? Clay is awkward, quiet, shy, and also in love with her, so all of those things combined will make him even more awkward, and he says the wrong thing on a good day, so why would he say the right thing under these particular circumstances? She also should remember that she rejected him point blank in his face, so why does she expect him to come to her rescue all the time? And when he doesn't comfort her the way she wants, she gets angry or salty or sad. I don't know. I just know that she is treating him unfairly. And I get it. She doesn't like him in that way. That's not anybody's fault. It's just facts. So she shouldn't expect him to be a shoulder for her to cry on whenever her feelings get hurt because she likes someone and they don't like her or they don't treat her the way she wants. I don't know if I'm supposed to be rooting for Hannah, but I'm not. I just can't get over her orchestrating this whole thing for payback for all of her perceived wrong treatment. I'm going to put a pause there only because I agree to a certain point on the whole orchestrating with the tapes. I think if send it to law enforcement, let them do it. Everybody don't need to hear, this is for you, and I get it. You're feeling suicidal, and I don't know, the way in which she is, as you state, orchestrating said tapes and where they go and who listens to them, and she's getting to have her say in court, as you will. It's awfully conniving for someone who is also suicidal. Now, I could also be speaking out of ignorance. This is definitely Shy's area, not my own. But it doesn't seem to coincide. I mean, unless something's like she was trying to get... I don't know. I don't... Again, if she had sent it to law enforcement, sure, I need the truth to be known about what happened to me, about what led me to why I felt I could no longer go on. Sure. But to say here, guy Tony, which is the only person we know right now that she's got checking other people, make sure all these people read the tapes. I'm not sure. Like, everybody needs to know this story, but it can be known. You even could have sent it to a fucking journalist. That could have started an investigation into child bullying. But it's a little too early for me to surmise her intentions or why she felt the need that this way had to be the way. So I am holding out for maybe a justification for the actions that she's taken, but I also stated it earlier as well that no, Hannah will be judged just as much as everyone else, and she is very much a high school teenager who doesn't quite know what she wants, But I do think you're right that she knows Clay likes her. It's practically head over the heels for her. And she is using him as her shoulder to cry on. And he don't even know all the tea. He don't know what the hell's going on with her life. She continues. Now, I'm not saying that she's not 100% right, but it's hard to know for sure because we only see it from her perspective. We are only on episode 2, so I am not going to go too deep in how I feel about her, but I am not a fan at the moment. Jessica looks like crap. It is clear she has been through some stuff and things, but seriously, she looks like she's strung out on crack or meth. She does. She need to get her shit together and fast. Yeah, what is going on with Jessica? I honestly thought Alex was gay. Oh my. I feel so vindicated right now. I feel so vindicated. I figured he had 2 girl best friends because he couldn't hang out with the guys because he had a crush on one of them and he wasn't ready for that conversation yet. So color me surprised when Alex and Jessica started dating. And what was so hard about them just telling Hannah the truth? Why the big secret? Because Hannah had a crush on fucking Alex. I saw that very clearly, that she wanted him bad. Like when Hannah was like, oh, I think he's looking at you. She was like, no, he's looking at you and he's cute. And then she went, oh, well, he's by himself. Not, no, I don't think he might think I'm cute. Like she wanted it to be him or her that he was staring at. So I think being all 3 best friends, it's weird when 2 best friends like each other, but also the 3rd best friend likes the boy, but the 2 girls are best friends. And then, yeah, I would have just let it out, but I can see it being weird. That movie theater scene was really awkward and I was uncomfortable. Oh, I didn't know you worked on Wednesdays. So clearly you guys were avoiding her and she's not supposed to feel some kind of way about that, Jessica. Alex, okay. And let's talk about Sherry. The scene with her and Clay was adorable. His face when he realized she asked him out was too cute. My shipper heart was thumping. Girl, I don't think it should thump that hard. I don't trust Sherry. I just don't. I don't trust people who randomly... It didn't seem like they was close before. Why is she all of a sudden close now? I don't know if she's a main character or hell, she might be on the tapes too, but I ship it hard. That's because it's interracial love. But Clay looked like he's the type of girl or dude that would attract a black woman. He looks like he's got the tone of voice too. That's like, yeah, I date black women only, exclusively. Hopefully we get back to that conversation because I am not a fan of Jessica or Alex. The relationship between the trio started out so cute and then shit just hit the fan and it was awful to watch. I hope we find out how they feel about Hannah's suicide because clearly they were on the tapes and it's clear they actually listened to the tapes already so they know everything. Everything is what she said. I think we got some feelings about how Jessica feels about the suicide. Like some people don't make it. Some people, never get, like, I think she's really tore up about Hannah's suicide. But I think she's also tore up about some other shit too. I think Hannah was the friend she kind of fell away from because she thought she betrayed her. And now it's almost too late to start thinking, well, maybe I was wrong. But at the same time, I don't want to see her dead. Like, it's sad that she killed herself. But what does she know? Like I said, I think there's things that Jessica doesn't know and that Hannah does know. She continues. Also, it sounds like Jessica, Justin, and those jocks are on the tapes too. And it did not go well for any of them. They're worried about something. Was that Hannah and Clay making out? Yes, it was. Hannah has short hair, so it had to be right before she died. Looks like they did more than just kiss. She put scandalous. That's all I got for now. So until next time, love, peace, hair grease, and Black Girl Couch. She said Queen of the Couch. Mimi out. I'll drink to that. I'm so jealous. She's so far. I need to stop saying it, but I can't get over the fact that I am still hella jealous. Because I want to know too. The show is interesting. I will give it that. They got me hooked on the mystery. I need to know what all these trash people do. This is Euphoria, but I feel like a PG-13 version thus far. Because Euphoria, like, I can see how this could be the, oh my God, this was so shocking when it came out in 2016? But yeah, that was before Euphoria. And I assure you, that is what most parents are terrified of right now. Like, fuck me. Go zip up the medicine cabinet, put a fucking lock on that shit. Because these kids is out here acting crazy. I don't even know why these kids can do that, though. We was just talking about Euphoria online. Like, let my daughter come in. It was like, she was riding her bike out with her cousins. And I was like, street lights on. What happens when the street lights come on? I know, we was coming in. We was coming in. You're damn right you was coming in. Supervision, man. Parental supervision. I don't know why in the suburbs they just like, okay, you're a young adult. I trust you. The fuck? Why? Why would you trust your children? Hell no. If you want to send feedback on the next episode of 13 Reasons Why, you can send that to blackgirlcouch@gmail.com. You can find this podcast, Black Girl Couch Reviews, where all good podcasts are found. Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes. My social medias will be below. Remember to like, share, subscribe. And if you have time, run over to iTunes and leave a review and rate the podcast. Until next time, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic.